are live outside of the Diddy trial. There has been a shocking turn of events. Here's my fit check. Oops. There's a fit check. There's been a shocking turn of events. Dawn was on the stand. She gave that same groundbreaking testimony, but you guys, something has changed. Some people say this didn't go good for Dawn. The prosecution tried to make a comeback, but y'all, this might change everything. You guys, we are day 6 live from the Diddy trial. Let's get into it. The girl was live in the main courtroom, not in the overflow room, watching and seeing everything. You guys, I don't know what to think of this. However, we are going to make sense. This changes everything. Diddy was sitting back. He was very confident. Oh, if you want to know the fit chat, there are people, I think, graduating with their citizenship for the U.S. Congrats to the U.S. still letting people in. But this changes every single thing. Okay, so where do we start? Okay, Diddy came in. He had on that same tan sweater. Now, this is surprising because the judge said he can have 5 different sweaters. I think he's worn that tan one twice, but I guess that's his favorite one. Okay, he came in. He was color coordinating with his publicist. It's important to note, none of the kids were there. I'm glad the publicist actually finally started listening and said, wait a second, this is a bad look. When you are talking about incredibly freaky, deaky, just not PG or family stuff, when you are talking about incredible violence, sitting there with your family, even your adult boys, who still look like they're in their early 20s, looking stone-faced, kind of makes it seem like, I don't know, it's just a family of degenerates. None of the kids were there. I think that was a very, very good look. Diddy's publicist was there, looking super beautiful. And a dress that actually matched Diddy. It makes me wonder, are they color coordinating? Diddy, the seating chart, he was sitting next to Brian Steele, that is his boo-coo, Mark Garagos, but then when Teeny came, Teeny was the one that actually went. Teeny was the one that actually sat by him. Okay, so we all have that, right? Diddy seemed worried coming in, but as Dawn's testimony unfolded, he got a little. We're about to get into the testimony, but let me just say this. When it comes to legal, law is not win or decided with one testimony unless there's a smoking gun, right? It's a house and you build it brick by brick. Everybody's testimony builds to make a story, a web so strong that there is no way that you can escape, okay? So keep in mind, when one person has a bad day of testimony, unless that testimony bad is Diddy, because he is the main person, one testimony will not make or break. Keep in mind, we are on day 6. This is expected to go all the way to July 4th. Some people even say that's going to go to July 18th. Keep in mind that Diddy's team has 2 weeks to come onto their defense. Now, a couple of interesting things that happened. We know some of the people that is going to be testifying. Okay, they name dropped Capricorn Clark. They name dropped in somebody named Mia. Of course, that is an alias. We have a bunch more people. It is shaping up who is going to be on Diddy's side and who is not. Now, listen, they didn't say that Diddy's head of security, or at that time head of security, D-Rock, would actually be named as a co-conspirator. However, his name came up a lot. Diddy's team brought it up a lot. It seemed like Diddy's team was kind of be like, oh my God, D-Rock didn't do anything. But also low-key, whenever they said somebody's name, there was an instant when they were like, who else was there? And Dawn was like, security? Who was security? Roger Bonds, and at that time, D-Rock. So they asked to enter in the pictures of D-Rock in the evidence, and they put it on the screen. And they were like, do you know who's on the screen? And she was like, that's D-Rock, right? The funny thing is, D-Rock's tip picture, he looked like America's Most Wanted. He looked like just untrustworthy. They picked the worst picture they could pick to make him look shifty as all get out. Then they were like, do you recognize who that person is? And she's like, yeah, that's Roger Bonds. Roger Bonds' picture was sitting there with $1 million Hollywood smile. He looked so wholesome, so happy. He had a face a mother would love and trust. I said, you know what? The prosecution is kin, and I'm here for it. Baby, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that when you get into y'all like the 60s flip, got the curl going, right? Everybody knows, shout out to the half wig, everybody knows that when you Listen, law is nothing but theater. And if you don't know how to run theater, then baby, you shouldn't be in law, okay? And the prosecution, they was keying while putting up a picture of D-Rock looking like a certified dirtbag and Roger Bonds looking like a choir boy, right? Anyway, Summer Party 1999 says, brains, beauty, tenacity, you got it all. Keep going with the good work, Miss Tisha. You are my go-to for this trial. Thank you so much. Lisa McClung said, I became a member this morning. Thank you, Lisa. I love you, Tisha. I love you too, Lisa. You are definitely a true teller. I know Epsom salt is great, but I've always been a cowgirl girl. I've been doing the Epsom salt just to make sure. And you guys, I really want to give a shout out to everybody that has been helping me fund this trip. Everything I am paying out of my pocket is a love story to you guys. Everything from security to accommodation to the fence. So I really enjoy you guys. And thank you for helping me last week to actually extend my trip. We're going to go all the way to the top. All right, let's get into this Dawn stuff. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's good to see you too, Mama. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let me sit down because it's windy and I got on like a tennis skirt and that thing is blowing up. So let me just sit down before I give everybody a real show. Okay, so where are we at with this, okay? Y'all like this? Y'all like the curls? Y'all like the thing? Right? Once I discovered half wigs 2 years ago, I was like, not wigs, but half wigs. I was like, I ain't never straightening and curling my hair again. Anyway, all right, so listen. So what happened, all right? Diddy, no cam, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, I'll get into this, but there was a little back and forth over what could be submitted. That's when we actually found out who would be the conspirators, some of them, and who would actually be the witnesses. Harvey Pierre, I believe, is definitely going to be named as a co-conspirator. His name came up over and over and over. Now, there's a chance Mr. Pierre is testifying against Diddy, but I doubt that very much. But you never know. Let's see, right? We also got, hold on, y'all. We also got, there is Miss Morgan. That might be Capricorn Clark. There is Kid Cudi's name came up. Mr. James's name came up. Who else? Capricorn Clark, Roger Bonds, James Diamond. James. Of course, Dawn, she was testifying. Again, Harvey Pierre is going to be a co-conspirator, right? To overcome hearsay because specific threats made to Dawn with violence. There was also David James. I think that was actually James, okay? It was USA Attorney Slonick that was doing the questions. I thought she did an amazing job. Who else did they talk about? Oh, they talked about the chef. The chef, I believe, is Chef Robles. It looks like she is going to be testifying against Diddy, of course. Listen, the defense tried to get a lot of this testimony barred. However, they did get a lot of testimony actually taken in, you know? Listen, everybody hit the like button. You know I'm trying to grow. Please, the encouragement means so much. All right, let's get into this. Now, listen, some people say that Dawn was useless. Let's get into it because I don't think so. Honeybee said, God bless you, Tisa, for all that you do. Excellent reporting. Now, listen, let me be clear. Dawn seemed like at first that she was actually changing her story. Malika Garrett, thank you so much for the super chat. Where my bumblebees at? I'm sitting by the garage. The other day when we were here, there were giant, cute little chubby, furry bumblebees flying around. I said, ooh, good luck. Anyway, right? I was stalking a bumblebee on my live. Cousin Pam said the fit is fitting and the hair is giving. That girl, love it. Oh, thank you. Okay, so listen. We need to say this before we get into Dawn's testimony because I'm always going to be hard. Was it the strongest? No. Okay? Because, Miss Westmoreland, that is the black woman on Diddy's team. She is very, very excellent, okay? She did a great job. I see why Brian Still and her work closely together. Her, Xavier, and Brian Still are on the MF money, right? They are a problem that the prosecution needs to get on their thing. The rest of Diddy's team, okay, whatever, right? But I definitely think that they are a problem. So, where are we? Where are we? Oh, thank you, Mama. So where are we at with this? Okay, let's get into Dawn's testimony, right? Okay. So, first of all, the U.S. attorney starts off and they talk about Dawn with the egg skillet and Diddy calling us back. She says, can you take us through that again? Okay, Crystal Cove, thank you so much for the super chat, right? Listen. Also, really quick. Yeah. Okay, so listen. So that actually happened, right? However, she went back to Cassie that she tried to hit him with the skillet, right? That Diddy told her that was just passion, that they were seeing that Cassie was okay, that if they said anything, they would go missing. She took that to mean they would be murked. She didn't react. She was shocked and scared the first time with dirty money around them, and she didn't want to continue. She said she saw Cassie frequently after that in studio, hotels, and house. And studios, the hotels, and of course, Daddy's house, Diddy's house, whatever. They said Daddy's house was the studio. She said she saw frequent violence. And they asked what was the violence. She said, I saw him punch Cassie in the mouth and stomach. I saw him choke her. I saw him drag her. Now, pay attention to this testimony, right? Y'all know I'm going to give the dramatic reinterpretation. I'm trying to get a good angle. I'm like sitting in the sun. I'm trying to give the dramatic reinterpretation, but honestly, y'all, like, I think a lot of people will say this wasn't good. I didn't see it like that. I saw this as the prosecution prepping all the witnesses to be completely honest, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. No need to play to the crowd. No need to put 20 on 10. Tell them what you felt and try. I thought that Cassie and Dawn were very, very truthful. And let me just listen to this, right? But again, she got tripped up with Miss Westmoreland, and there were some parts that I was like, ooh, there were some parts where I was like, ooh, I fear Miss Westmoreland just ate Dawn all the way up, okay? We got to call a spade, all right? She said, why did Cassie do that, did hit? And she said, why? Anytime she spoke up, she said Cassie was super, super soft-spoken. It was random. If she wanted to perform, if she had an opinion, if she opened her mouth, Diddy would be like, pop, 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 right? Pop, 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 pop. Anyway, right? Again, Cassie was very quiet and soft-spoken. She said that they were like, well, how come you didn't stick up for her? This is the prosecution still questioning Dawn. She was like, yo, I felt like if I spoke up, if this is the way he treated his girl that he was supposed to love, what was he going to do to me? Someone that he didn't know he was giving an opportunity. And to be honest with you, I needed that dirty money stuff, right? She said, who was present when she was beaten? She said, Capricorn Clark, Harvey Pierre, and Mia. I have it on good authority that Capricorn Clark is testifying for the prosecution. Harvey Pierre, we don't know yet. He might have flipped, but it sounds like he was actually testifying. And then, of course, you got Mia, right? Mia testifying for the prosecution. Okay. Those are the people that witnessed this. They said Mia and Capricorn were Diddy's assistants and the head of Brown work. It makes me think, is Mia KK? Because how many other assistants did this man have? Was that KK? Jay also said D-Rock and bonds for security. Again, that's where the prosecution started keying, and they put up a dirtbag picture of D-Rock. The government was keying, all this other stuff. Putting up a picture of Roger Bonds looking so wholesome and happy. I said, okay, I see what you guys are going. They said that what would happen when Diddy hit Cassie. They said nobody would do anything. Security wouldn't even respond. They said, where did she hit her? I saw him hit her in the face, the lips, the eyes, the knees, right? Cassie used clothing and glasses to cover up. They said at the festival to announce Dirty Money, there was a particularly horrifying scene. They were getting ready in Diddy's New York City apartment, right? And Cassie and Diddy were arguing in the hallway right outside of, y'all see the federal building? We're arguing in the hallway right outside of the bathroom where Kalina and Dawn were doing their makeup, okay? Dawn said she saw Diddy punch Cassie in the face with a closed fist. Cassie went into the bathroom. I guess the door was open. Cassie went into the bathroom crying, and she was just looking for some way to make sense of it, okay? Listen, Dawn said she saw Cassie's eyes swelling. Cassie literally started going to work doing makeup to hide. She said she wore sunglasses, right? She said she remained by Cassie's side after the beating, right? There was a picture that the prosecution put up when Cassie was wearing sunglasses, Dawn was wearing sunglasses, and Kalina were wearing sunglasses, and none of them took the sunglasses off because they said they did that in solidarity with Cassie, okay? She also said there was a 2010 incident. Antonia, thank you so much. You said thank you for all you do. I love your commentary. Thank you, Antonia. There was a 2010 incident in a West Hollywood restaurant. They said Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. There were people from Bad Boy Label. There were celebrities. Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. They were like, who was there that worked for Diddy? And Dawn was like, because the prosecution only asked her, and this is important to remember, who was there that worked for Diddy? Victoria Anderson, thank you so much for the super chat. Dawn said HP, right? Harvey Pierre, Capricorn Clark, Mia, Roger Bonds, and also somebody called Glenn Harper, right? They showed a picture of Harvey Pierre. They put up a picture of him looking sinister in a suit, looking like Lex Luthor. I said the prosecution is king. They said Harvey Pierre answered to Diddy. He did nothing about intervening, but Harvey Pierre got in the car to head, so they all got in the car, the little Sprinter bus, to head back to the LA house. Kimberly Coins, thank you so much for the super chat. They were arguing. D-Rock was driving. Diddy was sitting next to Cassie. Dawn and Kalina were sitting in the last seat, right? Romel P, thank you so much for the super chat. She said out the blue, Diddy literally grabbed Cassie by the neck and slapped her. Listen, slapped her mouth and told her to shut the F up. And everybody went quiet for the rest of the trip, all right? Now, she said Cassie had big dreams. She wanted to make an album. She wanted to be a superstar. Diddy didn't like when they talked to Cassie about anything. Diddy didn't like when they talked to Cassie about the album. Nicola, thank you so much for the super chat. Daniela Johnson, you said thanks for what you do. Thank you so much. You guys, thank you so much for all the funding. Okay, so what else happened? Diddy would be calm. Sometimes Diddy would be calm. Sometimes he would be angry, volatile. It really didn't matter whether he was calm or volatile. One thing for certain was he was hitting Cassie out the blue in front of everybody, and everybody would just act like it didn't happen. They said when that happened, Cassie just looked out the window sad for the rest of the thing. Latoya Neely, thank you so much for the super chat. Listen. Now, Kalina did say whenever she got Cassie alone, she would tell Cassie, yo, you should you are a victim. You should 100% leave, right? Diddy was made aware of the discussion because Cassie Ventura would tell Diddy, yo, they told me to leave you, right? Diddy went up to her and said, yo, you better stay the MF out of my relationship. You're here to work. Listen, and he also, Harvey Pierre and Diddy both said if y'all keep going at this trying to make Cassie leave me, things are going to get very dark and sinister for you, right? And that they would pay for it. The consequences for not staying in line. Listen. Anyway, they said Harvey Pierre would speak to her and say, this is going to get dark and lonely for you if you don't start listening to Diddy and leave Cassie alone. But she said she couldn't because what she saw and witnessed was beyond brutal. Now, I'm just telling you, this is what Dawn with the prosecution. We are about to get to the defense where Miss Westmoreland did her thing. But I think that the prosecution came back and did a good job of explaining everything all over again. Abjit Bunder, thank you so much for the super chat. And also Ashley Poole, 3161. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so listen. She said that she saw Diddy with drugs in the studio. Hold your power. Thank you so much for the super chat. She said she saw Diddy and drugs in the studio with a little LB pouch. What was in there? She said that he had a dealer that would bring him drugs, Plan B, birth control, E, Molly. Diddy had a certified CVS, a Walgreens literally bought to him Plan B and drugs and birth control. Now, why does that tie in? Why is that Plan B so important? Because remember when he said, right? Remember when everybody said that Cassie, Diddy didn't want her to use protection when she was with the sex workers. And remember how the government is asserting that Diddy had, somebody said, is Gene Deal here? Will you be interviewing him? If I see Big Unk, I will be interviewing him, right? Owen W., welcome to the Tattletales. And Pretty Brown One said, great job, team. Love watching you. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. So anyway, listen. This feeds into my mind, because here's the thing. A lot of people are looking at this perspective like, ooh, tea, this and that. And don't get me wrong, there is tea. That's why I'm in the middle of a break on this. But on the other hand, you got to think about it. This goes into the point of Diddy having complete control over Cassie. Think about it. Why would you have your drug dealer bring Plan B and birth control? Okay? It's like a verifiable CVS. Like she said, Cassie is a grown woman. Cassie made grown woman decisions. If you're making grown woman decisions, then why does Diddy have his drug dealer bringing Molly, ketamine, but Plan B and birth control? That's to make sure that Cassie took her birth control. Diddy didn't want to rely on Cassie. He wanted somebody to give it to her and administer to it. The Plan B, Diddy liked for sex workers to blank inside of Cassie. Why? Because Cassie, according to people, I think Cassie said it, Diddy liked for the sticky stuff to be spread over his nipples whenever he took Cassie. Oh no, according to the sex worker, whenever he took Cassie in the room alone, he liked for it to be spread on his bosom, if you will. Do you see how this is all tying together? You see what I'm saying? And I get it. But when I remember I said it's a house, not like it's a brick by brick is how you build justice. All these little details are leading credence to past testimony. Why, if Cassie was the grown woman that completed anatomy, were you in charge of making her take Plan B whenever you wanted? Were you in charge of making her take birth control? What? Cassie didn't even have, as a grown woman, like the defense said, complete autonomy even over her body. BB said, as a DV and child SA survivor, your work has been healing to my soul. Oh, BB, thank you so much. Sending healing energy to you for subject, right? So, what else happened, right? They said this person that supplied Diddy traveled everywhere, right? Both domestic and international. It was in an LV little happy sack. Diddy never changed his way. Let's not forget Brandon was taken with like a little happy sack, probably LV too. They said that Diddy offered drugs to to Dawn, Kalina, and Cassie Couture. Dawn says, I never took drugs. I mean, I smoked a little weed, but I didn't take drugs, okay? The defense was like, on the cross was like, you never took drugs? Dawn was like, I mean, I pretended to sometimes, but I really never took them. And I said, shout out to me. I'm drug-free too, baby. I know how that is. Everybody partying, and you're like, yeah, I'll see you guys, right? They said, she said that she saw a gun with Diddy in the studio. Now, multiple people have said that Diddy stayed with that hammer on them. On top of that, please let us remember, and this is the most shocking thing, they found how many choppers in Diddy's LA home when they raided it with the serial numbers filed off in the closet. Like, get out of here, right? She said Diddy kept his gun in his lower waist bag. D-Rock and Roger Bonds also kept them hammers in their lower back. She said it was a fearful environment until 2000, until they left. She said that she was a singer. Diddy would always reach out to her only when she was doing good. And first he would try to FaceTime her. She wouldn't answer. He would keep having more and more. Honeybee Varys, thank you so much for the super chat. Diddy would keep having more and more and more reach out to her until she finally answered, right? She said because she knew the way Diddy rolled, she was always pleasant and kind to Diddy. They said that when she left, Diddy and Harvey Pierre said, you better not expose anything that you found out or there will be problems. She said in 2024, after Cassie filed her lawsuit, in 2023, she was ready to share. She filed a civil lawsuit. She talked about the treatment of others. The lawsuit is still pending. She's not aware of any settlement money that was demanded, but she is expecting justice. But she has not received any compensation so far for her work and music from Diddy. Sherry Hunt, welcome to the Tattletales, right? So anyway, listen. At that point, this is my note. Dawn seems really good, right? She can't be moved. She has a great tone. She's in control of phrasing. And that's when things went off the rails. So Westmoreland was like, so you said in your civil suit that you saw him hit Cassie with a frying pan, right? And when you spoke to the U.S. attorneys, you said that he attempted to hit Cassie with a frying pan. So which is it? And at one point you said you heard him do it. So which is it? Was it attempted? Did you see it? Or was it heard, right? V. Roman niece said he needs to give it up. Now, here's the thing, right? And we got to be real about this, right? When that happened, I I get it. Everyone's like, oh my God, Dawn just got caught in a lie. But as Dawn kept saying, this is stuff that is more than a decade old. And when you think of things that are trauma, you push it out your head. To me, all the violence Dawn said Diddy did, the only thing that Diddy's attorney can say is, well, you said I hit her in the head with a frying pan, and I attempted to hit her head in a frying pan. And I was like, are you really basing your defense about it didn't connect, and what did it do? You know what I'm saying? It just didn't make sense, right? They said, now when this happened, Diddy sat back because he was enjoying all this. He really thought that Dawn was getting discredited. I didn't see it because in my mind, I was like, you're cherry picking random details, which honestly wasn't a good look that she couldn't remember. But at the end of the day, sorry y'all, she's cherry picking random details. But at the end of the day, like, you're not talking about any of the other violence. So you're saying like, okay, I may have hit her 99 times, but that one time I didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay, I guess, right? Then they went into, okay, she said, Miss Moreland was like, do you know the difference between hitting versus throwing? And Dom was like, yeah, I do. And she said, do you know the difference between throwing eggs and throwing a pan? And I'm like, okay, like, what issue are you making? If somebody says they hit you in the head with a pan, or threw the pan at you, or threw the hot eggs from the pan, at the end of the day, you inflicted violence, right? Okay, it's right. She actually threw eggs, right? Now, they said they're hearing, and then she did say, okay, but one time you testified, you heard the pan hit the wall. Now, that was a little damaging, because I was like, there's a big difference between hearing a pan hit the wall and actually seeing something. So Nino676, well, Lee said, good morning. First of all, oh, thank you. Always love your outfits. Thank you for super chat. You are amazing. I love your professionalism. If the tea ain't coming from you, not good. Thank you so much. Gene Dill said, Gene Dill is there. Did you see him yet? So I'm out on a break. I sneak out. I'm in the main courtroom. Gene Dill might be in the overflow. I'm going to try to catch him. If y'all got access to him, tell him I'm looking for him. I'll probably see him after court. Latrice Strong, thank you so much for the super chat. I wonder if Gene Dill is testifying, but let's get into this, right? Okay, so there was the best of the recollection. She said, how did you explain saying 4 different stories? She said, to the best of my recollection. Now, let me tell you this. This was when I looked and I said, okay, Diddy's team is having the key. Because everybody knows that the reason why the U.S. Attorney's Office calls you back so many times over things that are over like decades old, it's for a very, very simple reason. Because the more you ask people stuff, the more they remember. Especially if it's trauma that they want to push through the back of their head. But honestly, even with like an ex that I couldn't stand, people had to remind me that stuff actually happened, because as time goes, you literally do forget stuff, but the more you talk to people around it, the more you start forgetting, the more it comes back. That is literally the meaning of recollection. Honestly, but I actually what happened, like, and even if it was traumatic things you actually tend to push out. Again, not making excuses for Dawn, but things typically like that happen. Jazz Fit said, love you, preach. Thank you so much, Jazz. Okay, so they also had, so they said, okay, you had like 8 interviews with the U.S. attorneys, and Dawn was like, yeah. And she said, you forgot to say that you felt that he said people go missing, and Dawn was like, no, that's not true. I said it a few times, but it took me a time to jog my memory, right? F, you said, appreciate you and your work. Love and peace from Germany. Thank you so much. Let me tell you something. I really honestly do feel with that they literally are having a key too. Because at the end of the day, she did tell the U.S. Attorney's Office that she feared for her life with Diddy, okay? She said there was other incidents of hitting with D-Rock, Cassie, of course, Capricorn Clock, which is, so then they asked about, what about the time when you said Diddy got punched in the, no, Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. Hey, how you doing? Oh, thank you. So I was like, what about the time when they are saying, like, Cassie, no, she said, listen, I saw Cassie get punched in the stomach in a restaurant in West Hollywood, and there were celebrities and staff around. So then the prosecution was like, really? There were celebrities? She was like, yes. She was like, who was there? She said, Jimmy Levine, Ajay, Jimmy Levine, Neil Kane, all these people. And she was like, oh, how come you didn't mention that the first time? And she's like, because prosecution asked me who were the employees. And she's like, oh, so you just forgot all these celebrities? And she was like, no, they didn't ask me. Again, when you are on the stand, you must only answer the questions that you were asked. If I ask you what you ate for breakfast, you cannot tell me in any way what you ate for lunch. Do you feel me? Y'all feel me, right? Anyway, right? They spotted. So then she was like, you also said that Cassie was drug up through the grass. And she was like, I never said that. And they were like, you didn't say that? And she's like, no, that was a miscommunication from my thing. So here's the thing, right? I saw what she was doing. She was trying to impeach her. But as much people say that Dawn got caught lying, is Dawn was caught lying? The lawyer, Miss Westmoreland, who's very, very good, right? She would have, Brian Still's whole team, or the people, I don't know if she's on this team, but they definitely clicked up, right? The lawyer would have impeached her. Dawn did not get impeached. She had a good excuse for why she couldn't remember, even though she's like, you kept changing your story. You guys, can we get out of the habit? Just because somebody says you're having an affair, if the witness said, I'm not having an affair, and the lawyer keeps referring to it as an affair, that doesn't make it an affair. The same way if she said, oh, your story changed, no, it evolved over time. And again, that's why the police, when they interview witnesses or suspects for even a crime, the police and the detectives visit you multiple times. You don't just sit there, right? You don't just sit there and keep going, more and more and more. You don't just say, oh, we already talked to you. You keep going. Anyway, Lisa McClung, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, also, I want to say what's up to Stacy. Stacy said, you're awesome and working hard, girl. I love to be there with you and talk about the saga. Keep up the good work. You guys, I think I'm going to start interviewing people that actually watch the trial to get their opinion so we can start having man on the street interviews. IJN121 said, girl, you better work, doing a fab job. Thank you so much, you guys. Okay, so another thing, right? They said, what about this when you said Cassie got punched in the face, right? Official Lee said, love you, T said. Lady Diane said, this is better than network coverage. You go, girl. Thank you. So there was a time they also tried to literally trip up Kalina, and they were like, yo, what about the time when you interviewed? No, you told the government that you saw Cassie being punched in the face. And she's like, that is correct. And she was like, but was it not being filmed? And Dawn was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, when it was that festival, wasn't the cameras there? Weren't you being filmed all the time? And she was like, yeah. And she's like, so how did they not catch the punch? And Dawn was like, there was no cameras in the bathroom. And she was like, oh, well, what about when y'all was in the hallway? And she was like, yeah. But even then, I can answer that. What if the camera? Why would because she was like, Cassie and Diddy were a thing. Why would Cassie and Diddy start arguing on cameras for a TV show when they're trying to be making dirty money? They were trying to be the golden couple. Let's also not forget that a lot of stuff from Making of the Band was filmed. And where's that now? Anyway, Black Sheep said, T, you're smashing it. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. So anyway, literally, I was just like, okay, now Westmoreland is dragging it. Why on earth would cameras be filming Cassie and Diddy arguing when they were trying to be on their Beyonce Jay-Z stuff before Beyonce it was Jay-Z, right? Listen. Anyway, she said Kalina witnessed everything. Listen, I did make a note that I don't think that Kalina is the best witness until the prosecution got up and rehabbed the witness, right? First of all, the prosecution tried to even draw doubt on whether Diddy had a gun. It's known Diddy carried a gun. Diddy would tell people he carried a gun. Anyway, Lisa McClung said, I gifted a membership. This is my second super chat. Oh my God, you guys, make sure you thank Lisa and thank you for the super chat. Also, Honeybee Therapy, thank you so much for the super chat. So anyway, they said Diddy had to, they said Diddy had guns because he had to, listen, Bella Rose Speaks said, GD, good morning. T said, other bloggers leave out so many details. Listen, every blogger is doing the best. I'm just glad y'all here listen to my version. But you know, life is a box of chocolates. Go ahead and sample every one you want, right? So anyway, they were like, well, didn't he have to protect himself? And I rolled my eyes and said, are you serious? Are you serious? Listen, the Making of the Band stuff, right? The J-Lo stuff. Diddy literally, like, stop it. This is well-known stuff. And I said, okay, whatever, right? Diddy is known to have hammers, right? She said, why didn't you mention you saw Diddy with a gun? She said, because I wasn't asked by the feds. And she said, did you ever see Diddy pull the gun out? She said, no. Did you ever see you wave it? No. Did you ever see it cock it and put bullets in it? And I said, are we reenacting a scene from Tombstone? I'm your Huckleberry. What is this? A Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, cowboy music? Did I ever see him cock it, put bullets in? Is this a Silence of the Lambs, Kaiser Sosa? Where are you going with this? That sounds like she's dragging it. Did you ever see him wave it? She said, no. I just saw it in the back of his waistband, because that's the way. I'm paraphrasing now. Well, I'm adding my own opinion now, because that's the way that people that carry guns, that when they're really planning to use them, that's the way they carry them. They literally wave it in the air and act like they don't care, right? They don't wave it in the air. They don't cock it. They don't put bullets in it. That's the way that they act, right? So Mesquite said prosecution needs to get Justin's coach, who he attacked. Exactly. I would like to see that. In present, love your coverage. Keep it up, girl. Of course, Diddy was side-eyeing you. You're doing the damn thing. Thank you so much. So also, they were like, okay, let's talk about the drugs you talked about. She said, so you pretended to do drugs? She said, yeah, I did. But this falls, and she backed off of that because she realized it. This falls into the point of, if you were Diddy, he demanded everybody get high, high, high. And the only way to get around it was to fake it. Why else would you fake doing drugs unless you're in an environment where you need to be coerced? She agreed her story didn't change, but evolved. They also, she said when she was threatened by Diddy, she actually reached out to Diddy because and she said, but you reached out to him. And she's like, yes, I did. So they were like, okay, no further questions. So I made notes and said, she responded kindly. She still needed him. She reached out to Diddy, right? And there was a time, she said, there was a time that she was asked to reach out to him. And she said, and the girl was like, oh, so you initiated contact? And I said, okay. They said, in fact, you reached out on several occasions. And she was like, I mean, a little bit. And she said, oh, so you were, again, I saw it as her being scared that Diddy was an industry gatekeeper and she needed to work with him. Stephanie Cooper said, hi, first time and love how you bring it in. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate you. They said in 2009, they dismantled Dirty Money. Let me speed through this. Then they tried to play her and be like, you never reached the success you have with Dirty Money. And Kalina was like, I have been a successful musician. She's like, oh, not as successful. She's like, no, I have had success and I continue to have success. Nancy Bermudez Gamble, thank you so much for the super chat. They said you asked to be signed as a solo artist at Diddy. She said, that's true. And she said, so you felt like Diddy ruined your career and you were angry about it. She said, I did feel like Diddy ruined my career, but I was more saddened by it. Also, Nino 676 0LI said, what people forget is them guns have serial numbers that were scratched off. So not only is he dealing sex trafficking, he might have run charges too. Exactly. I think those might fall under the criminal organization, right? And anyway, they said that, she said, oh, he ruined your career not once but twice. And I said, okay, but isn't this proving everything? And she said that he succeeded in the past. Now they compensate for work to put forth. Anyway, so then the U.S. attorney asks a series of U.S. Slavnik asks a series of questions about employment and working for Dana DeCabe. They said, why did you sue in the civil lawsuit? She said, because I was in an environment not conducive for an employee. That's why she didn't want to come back. And she said she never discussed how much she was paid, even though, to be fair, I could have sworn that she said that Dirty Money would get paid, Diddy would get paid $250,000 for a Chirac appearance, and Dirty Money would only get paid $5,000, right? Anyway, Lourdes Soto said, first time you're doing amazing. Please treat yourself to a little something. Thank you, Lourdes. You know I will. Carly Fernell said, hey, what's up, Carly Fernell said, for your top-notch coverage. Love you, Tisa. Keep bringing the truth. Thank y'all so much. Okay, also, they said that never discussed how much paid. So they said, let's talk about the various meetings, right? Let's talk about the demand letter, why your memory changed, all this stuff. Now, this is to me the number one way that the prosecution rehabilitated Dawn's image, because she was allowed to explain, right? She said she couldn't remember everything because it was really traumatic and she was trying to forget. The environment was volatile. Over time, her memory became clear once she talked to people who were there and reconnected, right? Tracy Carr, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, listen. Also, they said over time the memory became clearer, right? Also speaking with others. She said she answers the questions as best as most accurate as she can. I do want to say one thing. Dawn looked super pretty. She had on like a Cab Calloway suit with a tie and a duster in the prettiest way. She was wearing like a grayish kind of check neutral. She looked so pretty. Sonia sees that you're doing an awesome job. Keep up the good work. Ivy Curtis said, hey Tisa, small lunch with me. Let us see your outfit today. Love and appreciate your con, right? Listen, let's go. Here is the live. Hold on. This is my outfit. I'm sitting down because the wind is blowing and I don't want the skirt to blow up. Thank you so much. Hold on. What happened? Wait. What happened? Wait, hold on. I'm trying to. Can you guys hear me? What is going on? What happened to my video? Hold on, y'all. Can y'all hear me? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Jada Gemini said it's named Diddy Dirty Money for a reason. Can y'all hear me? Then why can't y'all see me? Where is my camera? Where's my camera? I'm back. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know me touching these buttons. Anyway, right? Also, so they got straight to the point. They said, okay, it's cool. So we can quibble over whether he hit her with a frying pan or not. We can quibble over whether he threw a frying pan or eggs. But let me ask this, right? Listen, were you threatened to keep quiet? Absolutely. The frying pan incident, right? You've been thinking a lot about it. That's why you remember, right? Do you have any doubt that he tried to strike Cassie? She said no. Do you have any doubt that Cassie laid in the fetal position? Absolutely not. Do you have any doubt that he dragged Cassie up the stairs by her hair and you heard screaming and breaking glass? No. Do you have any doubt that you were threatened to stay quiet? She said absolutely not. And what's Hollywood? Did I ask you what employees or what celebrities are there? She said, you asked me what employees were there, ma'am. Then they said, when you said that Cassie was pulled and dragged across the grass, you misspoke. She said, yeah. She said, what did you mean? Stephanie Cooper said, hey, I can hold the cam for you. I could use a job. Stephanie, email me. She said, she said, I saw Cassie get grabbed by the neck and her head was slammed into the window and Cassie just looked straight. She said, for making of the band, why did you reach out to Diddy to work with them? She said, because I wanted to reconnect with Lori Gibson. I knew there was a making of the band reality show that Diddy wasn't going to be involved in. And Lorianne Gibson told me to reach out to Diddy. And if Diddy said, oh, he didn't mind, she could work together. She said, I wanted a relationship with Lorianne Gibson. I contacted Puff on her directive. Lorianne told her to reach out to Diddy directly. Kalina, she said, why did you say you wanted to get Dirty Money back? And she said, I did it for a friend. She said, Kalina was having issues and I wanted to get back in the band. She said, I was really just trying to help out a friend because Kalina was in a really, really dark place. And like, I really wanted to help her out. I know she regretting it because now Kalina done turned on her, right? And she said, I really didn't want to go back. It wasn't a good environment. It was disgusting, right? Now, at this point, Diddy is sitting there reviewing notes, getting mad and mad and mad. You know, he passed some notes down to Miss Westmoreland. And unlike Tinny Gargos and Mark Agnifilio, that every time Diddy passed them a dumb note, they actually read it. Hey, what's up? Every time he passed him a dumb note, he actually reads it. She looked at those notes Diddy passed her, Miss Westmoreland, read on them, folded them and put them to the side and never looked at it again, baby. She said, Diddy, you ain't ruining this. This is my reputation. I'm going to do what I do. Anyway, I literally said, well, let's see if she uses it. Anyway, yeah, that is what happened. Desiree Howard said, I took myself out to lunch away from the office just so I can listen to you in peace. Thank you so much. And Elevated Associates, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, some feels likely. Some feels likely. I'm like I'm there. Oh, it feels like you're there. Thank you so much. Shout out to Detroit. I'll say one thing. Motor City is the ground zero for chocolate Barbie. Shout out to all the Detroit Barbies. Beautiful gene pools over there. I think Detroit, Chicago, Philly, New York, of course, LA, got the best gene pools of black people. Let me shut up before people be like, what about Miami? What about Montana? You know what? It's beautiful everywhere. Anyway, but Detroit do get those chocolate Barbies. Anyway, listen. I do want to say this, right? Yeah. Listen. Westmoreland did a good job today. Diddy's defense. I'm not gonna lie, y'all know I will bring it to y'all straight. Whatever. It made the people that want to doubt Dawn a little bit more. But on the other hand, hold on, I'm back. Sorry, guys. So anyway, she did what needed to be done. She was super, super good. But do you know why? She did what's supposed to happen. Ooh, in Perez said, oh my God, love your coverage. Keep it up, girl. Of course, Diddy was side-eyeing you. Thank you again. I know I already read that, but thank you for the generous super chat. Okay, so listen. At the end of the day, she did what needed to be done. I know last week Diddy spent his whole time questioning Cassie. Instead of impeaching her or trying to poke holes in her story, he spent the whole time creating, in my opinion, fake narratives for the blogs to run. Alex was on FaceTime during the freak off. Cassie was cheating on Alex with Diddy, which has been debunked. Do you know how it was debunked? I'll tell you how. Alex that whole time had a long-term girlfriend that I don't think he broke up until like November, okay? Hold on. That he broke up in November. Cassie and Alex were not exclusive. They were literally some homie lover friends. At first it was homies, then it turned to lovers, you know, and the rest is written in history. Diddy knew that too. That's why he started posting Cassie a lot, because he was trying to mark his territory. But even Diddy's defense actually says that after October, there were no more romantic messages at all between him and Cassie. This tracks with the timeline that Alex and Cassie started like really getting serious around the end of November, sometime mid-December, right? On top of that, okay? On top of that, what else happened? You know, but anyway, and also stuff about it literally is on the trial transcript that Cassie said that while she was on a date with Diddy, I think they might have been like in whatever, but they weren't in the middle of having smacks. And he saw Alex's name pop up and got super, super, super upset. However, she didn't pick up because her and Alex weren't like that. They were still in that friend talking phase. And for everybody to act like, they also said that the reason why Diddy really got it out for Alex is because unlike every other man that he could scare away from talking to her, he blew up Kid Cudi's car, and Kid Cudi never wanted to talk to Cassie again, and even sat down and had a meeting with Diddy about what the rules, and he's going to stay away from Cassie. I'm not trying to throw salt on Kid Cudi's name. I'm not saying he didn't do the right thing. He did what he thought was best. He told Michael B. Jordan to break up with Cassie. Michael B. Jordan broke up with Cassie and then was kikiing with Diddy. And then Michael B. Jordan was dating Lori Harvey, and I think Diddy tried to jump on that either before or after. I don't know. The whole point of the matter is, right, everybody, when Diddy said leave Cassie alone, they did, except for Alex. Alex was the first man that was like, I ain't going nowhere. We love each other. And if you don't want me around, baby, you just gonna have to deal with it. Do what you're gonna do. Do it, do it, do it. You ain't doing shit. That's the way attitude that Alex had. You gotta love them Midwest boys. That's the attitude that Alex had toward Diddy. I know that a lot of people are like, oh my God, you guys really acting like Diddy had the power to, Diddy beat up Shakir Stewart, a guy that, Kim Porter was seeing in Italy in an Italian hotel, beat him so bad and over the head. Shakir Stewart's mother testified for him to stay away from Kim. Diddy mercilessly beat and assaulted two known people, according to the blogs and all this stuff. And I think Shakir Stewart's mother that was trying to talk to Kim. You guys think that as beautiful as Kim Porter was, the only man she could get to procreate with was Diddy? No, Diddy scared everybody away. We see the fact that Diddy like blew up Kid Cudi's car and threatened Michael B. Jordan. So why is it so hard to believe that Diddy tried to do the same mess to Alex, and Alex said, I ain't never scared, and stood by Cassie's side? And it sickens me that everybody's trying to run this narrative that Alex is his side dude, Cassie is his wayward money, when we literally have a real demon who drop kicked, and people are really trying to act like he had the nerve, and this is he had the right to treat Cassie like a rag doll because of what? Because of what? Because of what? Cassie seduced Ryan Leslie and she was a career climber. You mean the 17-year-old that was making me and you to a man 10 years older? They came out official as a couple when she was 18. You really expect me to believe all that happened? Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Anyway, Lucy Garcia, thank you so much. They said great job. Listen, I'll give it to you raw. There were some good parts of Dawn's testimony and it was some bad parts. But you guys, let me just tell you, this is what trial's about. Some witnesses are stronger than others. Some witnesses, for whatever reason, the jury believes more. But at the end of the day, regardless of whether Dawn remembered whether Cassie got hit in the face with a skillet, a fist, some eggs, the one thing that the prosecution couldn't mess with was the 99% of all the other abuse that she talked about. So congratulations, Diddy team. Y'all ate on that one little thing. Congratulations. But at the end of the day, baby, a case is built brick by... Hey, how are you? Oh, thank you so much. What's your name? T. Harris. What's up?
I'm mainly on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to T. Harris on TikTok.
Thank you.
All right.
This is my biggest fan, man. I'm so glad to see her. This is my first time ever seeing her, y'all. I'm so happy to see her. I only see her on TV.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harris. You have a good one. Shout out to Mama Harris in Mississippi. All right. So also...
also say hi, they know you.
Uh-huh.
My chat, they say hey.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up? So anyway, Stephanie Cooper said, shout out to Chattanooga, Tennessee. You doing a great job. Thank you so much. Shout out to Chattanooga. Y'all some black Barbies over there too. Melissa Lee, thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, so anyway, you guys, this is what a trial is, okay? Some witnesses are better than others. Overall, I think Dawn did a solid thing because Dawn is not the case. Dawn is talking about the coercion, the violence, and the control. And Diddy cannot mess with her about the coercion, violence, and control. Let us not lose sight of what this case is actually about. Anyway, Charlene W., thank you so much for the super chat. Oh my God, Mama, thank you for the generous super chat. Okay, so listen. Oh, listen, let me get back in the court. I've been on here too long. Wait, hold on, another super chat. 1 second. You know money will make me stay. Natasha said, I hate how people act like they don't do stupid-ish for and get manipulated by the person they love. He and her personally and professionally locked up. Exactly. What is so hard to understand about that control? I think everybody understands that control. And I honestly feel like the reason people are acting dumb is because they want an excuse. And I think like if given the opportunity to have I think they would treat everybody the same way too. So baby, demons recognize demons. Nino's 760 at least said plain and simple, do not do to others as you don't want done to you. This is Diddy's karma. Diddy destroyed a lot of people's careers. He's wrong doing it exactly. And Ford Judita said, looks like Gene Deal will be testifying. Let me get out of here and go see Uncle. Whole purse is got. Listen, my whole dress is burnt. Doing stuff, right? I gotta. Hey, what's up? Okay, they got Uncle Gene testifying, and my skirt's blowing up. I need both hands. I'm gonna talk to y'all later. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye. Don't forget, turn your notifications on. I'm going live 2 more times, and then I'll be outside the court. All right, and I'll be interviewing.